So we're going to take a look at these Skellige cards now. This time I was very careful, and I put all the cards in here, but I haven't read any of these yet, so we don't actually know what they do. So it'll be like a first reactions type of thing too. Should be nice. First thing here, let's start at the bronzes. We've got Seagull. So it's a beast, cursed pirate. A 1 power, 4 provision. Okay. Interesting. Another one of the mighty animals of the Witcher lore. We have the squirrel, then we got a seagull. Deploy. Damage 3 units by 1. Then spawn a seagull in your graveyard for each target that is damaged. When an enemy unit is destroyed, summon self from your graveyard to your ranged row, then gain doomed. Let's see here. So, obviously Beast Skellige is terrible. It's really bad. But this is also a pirate. The question is, does it do enough for Beast Skellige, and does it help pirates? So damaging 3 units by 1 is really good for pirates because you get that armor. So it just on face value, it plays for 4, and it's a 4. So the ability has to be worth something, and it does. Because you spawn 3 you spawn 3 seagulls in your graveyard, and then when the enemy is destroyed, it summons back and gains doom. So you get 7 points out of this eventually, which is good, and it synergizes with what the pirates want to do, and it synergizes with what beasts want to do. So does it help beasts is my question. I think it's a good card for pirates. It's probably pretty good. The question is, does those tokens help you? Not too much, but the damaging might be enough to run this in pirates. We'll have to see. But as far as beasts go, it's good for the boost by the number of beasts in your graveyard effect, which I believe is still on Corrupted Flaminica. I can check that real quick while we're talking here. But yeah, so that seems pretty good. And then the other thing that seems pretty good about it is it does give you 7 points eventually, which is pretty decent. I mean, I think it's pretty good. It is a beast itself too. The crows coming, or I keep calling them crows. The seagulls coming back is interesting. It helps with the token stuff. The question is, does that token stuff really matter? Like, I don't think you're going to use the tokens in pirates, not that I can think of. So it might just be decent in pirates and decent in beasts. It's hard to quite say. It's probably good overall. I think it's very interesting, which is good for a bronze card to be interesting. Let's go on to the next one here. So 5 provision, he's got 4 power. The Deranged Corsair. Human Cursed Pirate. Same tags as Seagull, except he's got human instead of beast. Deploy. Infuse an enemy with unit with Death Wish. Spawn Cataclysm on this row for 2 turns. Then spawn Cataclysm on this row for 1 turn. So, Infuse, if you don't know, it's a status that goes on the unit to give it something. So Purify is a good way to deal with Infuse, and Lock will also remove infused effects. So here we have Infused enemy with Death Wish. So you're giving the enemy a Death Wish to spawn Cataclysm. On face value, the Death Wish is worth 6 points from Cataclysm, making this a 10 for 5, which is very good. And it also spawns Cataclysm when you do the deploy. So potentially this is a 13 for 5 value. That is insane value. Question is the delay on it and having to kill the unit slow it down too much for it to be insane? It's really, really good in pirates because you get that damage. And you're damaging things with the Cataclysm. And you put this on a 3 power card, and that card's the only thing in its row, it dies immediately. Of course, then you waste the 2 Cataclysms, so you're not going to do that. So if you have an order to do damage, you can put it on something that's injured. Like you got the, what's the one that does 2 damage? You have to order the one to do damage. So you got that guy out, you put this infuse on something, and you hit it. There's suddenly 3 turns of Cataclysm. It does take time for Cataclysm. Hopefully with this Cataclysm here, I hope they buff Ragnarok, but that's a little bit different of a speculation than the card. It seems good. The question is just how easy is it for pirates to trigger this? If you're running Onslaught, it's probably no problem at all. So this is probably a really, really good card for pirates. Does it go anywhere else? I don't think so. It's also notably, this is also really fun for Dagger. Cataclysm with Dagger gives him 3 points a turn, which is cool. Yeah, I think this is really good. We'll have to see how good Pirates are. Right now, I've tried Pirates and I didn't have much success. Could be I'm bad, but they just seem to not quite have the power needed to beat most decks right now. Then you have the Epic card. So, Bjorn Stormerson. Human Cursed Pirate once again. He's a 5 power with 2 armor. He's 8 provisions. Veteran. I like seeing more veteran cards. There's not very many of them. Deploy. Clash with an enemy unit. So, clash is also a new keyword. See if I can't bring that up here for right now. Let's bring that up. Yeah, so clash. Basically, with clash, it's similar-ish to duel, but not really. The effect's pretty similar. The units will simultaneously damage each other by their power. So as opposed to duel, where you damage them and then they damage you, they just do the damage simultaneously. Kind of like how Kraken Crate works with his ability. It'll be like that. So I'm guessing they'll probably reword his keyword as well. But yeah, so he has deploy, clash with an enemy unit. So if he's got armor, obviously that's the synergy here. He's got armor, he does 5 damage, the armor blocks the damage coming into him. Just like you do it with Croc. By the way, I know I pronounced Croc wrong, but I have a difficult time saying the whole correct pronunciation, so sorry. Yeah, deploy, clash with an enemy. That's good. So essentially he's going to come down probably for about 10 points. Whoa, actually, he comes down for 10 points. That's really good. He's got veteran, too. This is a really strong removal effect, actually. Skjordal gets up to 6, and he's amazing if you have him at 6 damage removal. Bjorn gets up to 7, and 8 if you're playing King Bran. So this is actually really good, thinking about this. That's really good. So he's got Order Bloodthirst 2, discard a card, move self back to your hand. Alright, now we're getting to the interesting effects. So, you replace a card in your hand with him. Now, there's an obvious loss of tempo here. Or obvious loss of card advantage and points on the board, right? Because you're taking him off the board. Say he's an 8, and you take him off the board, you lose 8 points, right? And you also lose a card in your hand. But then he's in your hand, you can play him again. Is that worth it, though? But I want to... So that's essentially, you're using a turn to play him exclusively for the clash value. It's at least a very interesting option. And also, if you're really far ahead, you could do this before like going to the next round to keep him again. That's not bad either. Against other stuff, yeah, it's probably a good effect. Needing the Bloodthirst 2 kind of is interesting because you're playing Bjorn. I'm imagining you're just killing everything with his deploy. So Bloodthirst 2 might actually be the condition that's kind of hard to meet here. But he does trigger discard effects, which is nice. If you have bad cards in your hand, like round 3, and he's an 8, you can do that pretty effectively and replace his clash with that. But it's very interesting. I quite like it. Quite like it. Now let's move on to the Legendary, which is another scenario. I'm going to guess that all the factions are getting scenarios then. So let's see what we have here for Endless Voyage. 14 provision scenario. Cursed, doomed, yep. Scenario. Progress whenever you play a pirate. So pirates, like I said, I think that they're just a little weak right now. And pirates are actually pretty limited in the amount of cards you can run on their deck. There's not that many pirates. And the thing with, if you look at any of the Onslaught decks, what you usually see is stuff like Sunset Wanderers, Vigo's Muzzle, Heatwave, a whole bunch of high-end neutral cards, because they're lacking a lot of high provision stuff that's actually any good. Like, if you look at the high provision pirate cards, there's not very many, and you end up with a lot of spare provisions when you make these decks. So I'm glad there's a high provision card that like helps the pirates out quite a bit, because Croc's really good in the round, but he usually gets answered, and then you don't have a long round choice. Like, revive it if you can play Croc, and then you can revive him with Fukusha and use him again. Those are 2 very strong long rounds. It just doesn't work out. So usually you play him once. And if you manage to keep him alive behind Defender, for example, they squirrel him and you can't do it again. So it's actually really nice to have the second longer round option here in Endless Voyage. Now, as long as we're here, what does it actually do? So progresses when you play a pirate. Prologue. Spawn Bjorn's Drakkar on this row. We'll take a look at what that is in a minute. Let's read the other chapters. Chapter 1. Whenever your opponent plays a unit, infuse it with Death Wish. Spawn Cataclysm for 1 turn on this row. Okay, so as long as the opponent's playing stuff, you can infuse it with this Cataclysm things. Is this any... I'm just thinking if there's any row effects that are actually beneficial to the opponent you could replace with Cataclysm. I don't think so. No, because Blood Moon got changed. Yeah, okay, so there's no overriding good of row effects with this. See, whenever your opponent plays a unit, infuse with Death Wish, Spawn Cataclysm or 1. So every time they play a unit, if you kill that unit, you get about 3 points. We'll call it 3 points. But you do have to kill the unit. I'm really hoping this doesn't end up like Siege, where you just end round 3 with 0 points. The opponent has 60. Really hoping it doesn't end up like that, but we'll see. Chapter 2. Purify and heal an allied Bjorn's Drakkar. And allied Bjorn's Drakkar. Then increase its base power by 5 and give it 1 charge. If you don't control Bjorn's Drakkar, spawn it on this row instead. Okay, so if they kill Bjorn's Drakkar, you get it back from the Chapter 2. If they don't kill it, it gets 5 power and charge. I think they're doing a really interesting job with the last chapters on these scenarios because of the Doomveandra, the one who resets the chapter to the... well, goes back to the chapter on them. It seems like they're making it so that that effect is good but not amazing on these. So what do these guys do then? Bjorn's Drakkar. So this is the only card that really goes with this Endless Voyage. We're spawning this, and then we're going to either spawn it or boost it again. So it's 5 power, 14 provision, so no Fukusha on this. Notable, you can bring it back. It doesn't get doomed, right? So you don't have to purify it to bring it back. Doesn't look like it gets doomed. Machine Cursed Token Ship. That is a lot of categories. So what does it do? Okay, it does have doomed. I'm blind. Order. Damage an enemy unit by 1. And infuse it with whenever this unit takes damage from other abilities. Damage self by the same amount. Charges 1. Okay. So we play this. We need the order to go off. If the order goes off, that effect can be purified a lot like Rupture. Is this good? My initial thoughts is I'm very underwhelmed here, but I feel like I might be missing something. The Chapter 1 effect here is really good, though. The Infuse effect. How... It's not a Zeal order is my thing here. And it's only 5 power. Sure, you can bring it back, but... I'm not sure. I feel like it's just going to die both times you play it. Although, to be fair, you're developing, what, 10 points from this? 5 the first time and 5 the second time. Then the Cataclysm effect. The Cataclysm effect here, the Chapter 1, seems to be the strongest part. The Bjorn's Drakkar, it's fine. It's fine. It's not gonna have armor, though, unlike all the stuff in your hand. So, it's not gonna have, like, 20 armor, and then the armor blocks damage. Okay, obviously if you get the Drakkar, you can use the order and then put it on something. Obviously this is good, I'm just trying to figure out how often the Drakkar will live the first turn, because it's only 5 power with no armor. Yeah, if it lives to Chapter 2, Purify and Heal is really good. I'm just not sure it'll live. I guess you obviously want to protect it. This seems like a card you'd want to combo with Defender for sure, but there's potential here. I'm just not sure how consistently you'll get it to work. Let me know what you guys think. Am I missing something here really obvious? I think it's pretty... I think obviously it's a scenario, so it's really good. But I'm not sure how consistently the Drakkar will get its order off. It's just what I'm thinking. But what do you guys think? Overall, certainly some interesting cards. Certainly interesting cards. Some of these look really strong. Very interesting effects. And I can't wait to try these guys out. Looks like a lot of fun. What do you guys think are your favorite cards here? Think they're really strong? Think they're cool? Let me know what you think. And we'll be back here next time when the next set is announced.